I just finished reading one of the buzziest books of the summer. It was one of Book of the Month's selections for July. I'm talking about The Shampoo Effect by Jenny Jackson. The Shampoo Effect is about a writer named Caroline who wins a fellowship at a cottage in a small Massachusetts beach town, and she goes there to write her first book. There's also a little bit of nepotism that may be involved. She is the daughter of a famous author. As soon as Caroline lands in town, she quickly falls in love with Van, a 30 something scientist who has a bunch of friends who he's remained close with since high school. And so we get the POVs of several of his old friends as well: Augusta, Bailey, and Fran. The friend group is definitely incestuous. There are secrets. It's definitely a soapy drama. These are not easily likable characters. They're complex. They have good traits and bad traits, and I know that might push some people away. I do think it's probably very relatable and humorous for my fellow millennial moms out there. Now, I'm about to get into some spoilers, so if you haven't read it yet and you care about spoilers, time to look away. I do think it's interesting how there is a happy ending that affirms marriage and raising children because we see the struggles between couples and the unhappiness of mothers in raising small children. But by the end, it's like things have been resolved. Augusta deals with this very difficult reveal about her husband and her brother, and the reunion between Augusta and her husband I thought was really touching. With Fran and her partner RJ, we also see her struggle with guilt over some infidelity of a sort, and how she finally decides to commit to her relationship with RJ. I thought that was also very sweet. I think Fran is one of the more likable characters in this book. Everyone is going to hate on Bailey because she is the other woman. She is the bombshell. She doesn't believe in traditional relationships. But I found her hard to hate because she's very authentic to who she is. She didn't force Van to break up with Caroline and come live with her. That was his choice. And that's why I think Van is actually the villain of this story. He promises Caroline he's not going to break her heart, that he can devote time to her and take care of a newborn baby. In the end, he goes against his word. He realizes, oh, this is too much for me. He breaks her heart. He immediately gets back together with his ex, his baby mama, Bailey, and they start a romantic relationship. And then Bailey breaks up with him, and then he realizes, oh, I miss Caroline. That was actually a genuine relationship where we shared common interests. And Caroline is missing him greatly, even though Van broke up with her. Like, Caroline, he didn't even treat you right. He went back to Bailey, and also, when you guys were together, he didn't take great care of you. When they go on a trip to his family's cabin in Maine, they go paddleboarding, and he gets out of the water with his paddleboard, continues talking to his friends, and leaves her in the water with her paddleboard, struggling to get up off the dock. And he doesn't even help her, or he's just completely oblivious and is obviously more interested in hanging out with his friends. At the end of the book, we know that Van leaves a powdered jelly donut on the top of her car after she gives a talk about her book. I think the donut is probably a sign that Van and Caroline are going to reconnect. I hope it's just a sign of acknowledgement and forgiveness for Caroline writing about his friends, but it might be an opportunity for them to reunite. But Caroline, you can do better. Yes, Van is kind of a cute environmentalist, scientist, nerd, but he also cared more about his friends than you. So I really like this book. I think it's a perfect one to pick up this summer, and I'm deeply curious what your take is on the Shampoo Effect and its characters.